Good afternoon, and welcome to another historical version of Diatribes from the voice of Doom. Now here's your hysterical and heretical host, voice of Doom. Hello. In case you didn't recognize that song, it was called Living in China by Men Without Hats. Pretty big song in 1983 or 84, I believe. Synth wave. Kind of in the genre of orchestral maneuvers in the dark or Spandau Ballet or people of that nature. Early Depeche Mode. Now, it's called Living in China. I thought it'd be appropriate. Now, I have a pretty good one for you today because all kinds of things are happening, but it's right in the middle of it. So by the time I get this episode up, things could be totally different. We could be in World War III. So it's an interesting day. And I'll just say right beforehand that, again, to all my fans and non-fans alike, I've made playlists with some things categorized, especially the best of Voice of Doom. If you don't want to call through all, I don't know how many, 290, 300 videos, then you can go to my playlists. And I also have some original music on there, songs I've either played or written in my song list. So let's get into the headlines before I go into my main topic, which I think you know what it's going to be. I just have a feeling you know. But the headline first. Ayman al-Zawaheri, an old gray man from the dark ages of the early part of the War on Terror, was killed finally with a drone. Apparently it was a very successful and precision strike. They only killed a couple other extra people, from what I heard, besides him. But they were kids of the al-Haqqani guy, who was part of the Haqqani terrorist group. So he was killed in Kabul. He was hiding in open, you call it, hidden in plain sight in Kabul, downtown. So obviously the Taliban is still sympathetic to the Al-Qaeda, especially the old guard. He was about to go anyway, but we needed to make a point, and I agree with it. It's fine. I'm actually surprised that Petri Dish didn't tout himself more for the absolutely incredible foreign policy coup in the history of the United States, or what used to be. He didn't tout himself much because he still has COVID. He was on the balcony without a mask on, which if it was orangey and there was a dog sitting there right next to him, they'd be calling the SPCA on him and impeaching him again for giving an announcement without a mask, infecting the dog. But I'll just leave it at that. Between a rock and a hard place, ROC, the Republic of China. Our beloved stinker of the house, Nancy Pelosi, I'm going to call her Pelosi, we like Orangey, and everybody has their little nickname, Pay-loss, with a Y at the end. And not that she's responsible for my pay loss or anyone's pay loss, but she's got her sticky little fingers in it. And she's certainly not losing pay, is she? She's not losing pay because her beloved husband stays awake at night listening to her talk in her sleep, because that's the only way he's going to stay in the bedroom with her. And when he hears things like, Fat Choice Semiconductor Company, and she's mumbling in her sleep, he writes it down in his little notebook for further reference. I'll say no more on that. I have no evidence that there's any insider trading by such a stalwart upright, honorable human being as Pelosi. So we won't go there. But where she did go is to the Republic of China, which we call commonly Taiwan. And it caused a ruckus because Petrie and his cohorts really didn't want her to go because he kind of wants to not have any more dust-ups anywhere, and he doesn't want to provoke. So just don't do anything that might provoke that's not going to accomplish anything anyway. But Pelosi went, they leaked it. I think the Petri dish administration leaked the fact about a week ahead of time before everything was carved in stone, and then the PRC, the People's Republic, not the Republic, but the one that belongs to the people, the good guys, decided that they were going to threaten America if she came because they didn't want to see no support for their enemy, that they think they should have that particular geographical location. Now, speaking of geography, and you get boring again. The island, which we call Taiwan, was first inhabited 25,000 years ago, no doubt by Neanderthals that looked kind of intelligent with glasses. And the indigenous Taiwanese date back to 6,000 years ago, so we're talking like 4,000 plus BC. So they were running around for quite a few years. They didn't call themselves Taiwanese back then, I'm sure. Now listen to this. This is kind of interesting, sort of. China pretty much ruled Taiwan, the island, mainland China, under the Qing, Q-U-N-G, no, Q-I-N-G, I'm so used to U, Q-I-N-G, dynasty. The Qing dynasty ruled China from 1683 to 1895. That's when the whole dynastic rule ended. But before that, before the Qing dynasty annexed what is now Taiwan, it was a Dutch colony, because the Dutch East Indies Company, which was a rampant capitalist, huge corporation that pretty much exploited and took over most of Asia. I don't remember what they dealt in. Tobacco, I don't know, tea, I'm sure it was tea. Other things, tea mostly. Dutch East Indies had a big foothold in Taiwan, so they took it over as a colony. Now the Spanish, that's from 1624 to 1662, in case you were wondering. About the same time the Pilgrims were wandering over here. Spanish occupied parts of Taiwan from 1628 to 1642 because of their vested interest. So from 1683 to 1895, the Chinese took it over under the Qing dynasty. It was the Republic of Formosa for 1 year, less than a year, after the Qing dynasty was overthrown by the Japanese nationalists. Not Japanese, Chinese nationalists. Under Chiang Kai-shek overthrew the Qing dynasty. See, it gets very confusing because Imperial Japan ran Formosa from 1895 to 1945, so we're talking 50 years it was part of Japan. Geographically, it doesn't belong to Japan, but they were imperialists and they wanted to start their own colonizing, and they went to Taiwan or Formosa, and they went to the Philippines, and they started taking over the islands, and then they attacked Pearl Harbor, and then the rest is history. So Japan ruled, and it was a major military, what do you call it, staging ground for the Sino-Japanese War, which was part of World War II. And that lasted from 37 to 45. The Japs and the Chinks were at each other's throats. And we were on the Chinks side. Okay, that's fine. Now, China was in a civil war, mainland China, the entirety of China, from 1927 to to 1950. Chiang Kai-shek ruled China proper from 1928 and then till 75, but he ended up having to take a little rowboat to Taiwan because some guy named Mao Zedong started a big brouhaha and basically overthrew the government and started a communist revolutionary government. And the history of that I've already gone into a bit. Chiang Kai-shek evacuated to Taiwan and reestablished Taipei as a wartime capital of the Republic of China, because Chiang Kai was not going to admit defeat quite yet. It wasn't for a few years that they finally realized, hey, we're here for good. This is the Republic of China. They're established, and especially by 72, when the UN recognized the PRC and tossed out the ROC from the UN. That must have been a great day for them. So let's talk about Pelosi and her trip. Symbolic. Nothing will get done. Possibly a smokescreen or a distraction from her husband's woes having to do with not being smart enough with $100 million to hire a cab. Now, like I said, the Petrie administration weren't happy with Pelosi going. And the reason is they didn't want any provocations. And then when she said she was going, and the Chinese Xi happiness made threats to the U.S. if she comes, we're going to shoot her down. If she comes, we're going to get mad. We're going to, going to start a big thing. So they're putting pressure, like, do we go or not? And then they're finally saying, now she has to go, because if she doesn't, it shows that Xi has power, and he can coerce us, and he can boss us around. So now she has to go. Now there's three outcomes. She's there now. She got there at 12 midnight Formosa time, and it is now, that would be 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the morning. It's now almost 3, so it's almost 6 in the morning there. It'll be 7 soon. She'll be getting up out of bed, putting her teeth in, and getting ready for the day. She'll talk to the president. They'll accomplish nothing. She just went there to make a point. Okay, now, either she gets shot down, which starts a big problem, because who knows what we'll do. We may just send a strongly worded letter. She may, she's already there, so the option of not going is out. She may come back alive, or she may be shot down by somebody else. Maybe even the U.S. used to be A, because we've shot down planes before when they're inconvenient. So there's options, but she's already in Formosa, Taiwan / and she will start doing her diplomacy for about 10 hours, and then she'll get on a plane and fly back. She will be greeted as the new Zelensky, the new Winston Churchill, which is just what she went there for. To go there to show everyone in America that the Democrats are the brave ones. The Democrats are the ones that went to Taiwan during wartime and took a chance on getting shot down. Not the Republicans, but the Democrats. So remember that in November, which nobody will, because by November we'll have $8 gas, we'll have probably another shutdown, and God knows what else will happen between now and then. So people will be worried about other things. They will not even remember that Pelosi went anywhere, except she'll probably be gone by then. What else can I say on that? Not a whole lot, and it's almost 15 minutes. Did I get enough sarcasm in there? That's the thing. Yeah, I think I got enough info. I got info, and I got a little bit of my own snide remarks. and I'll remember what I wanted to say as soon as I shut this off. But one thing I'll say about Fox News is they tend to be fair. And I'll take a few other things. First of all, Fox is fair. When Pelosi, decided to go, they supported it, and they were saying, she can't back down now. And they weren't lambasting her like if it was CNN, it was somebody from the Orangey administration, then it would be like, he's starting World War III. What is he doing, Impeach him again. And, parenthetically, Petri Dish did have a phone call with Xi and was roundly scolded and roundly told what's what by Xi, and he nodded, and I think he fell asleep only twice, like a 2-hour conversation, which we don't know the details of, which is funny because if it was Orangey and he had a conversation with Xi and he said we're not going to release the transcripts of the call, he'd be impeached 20 times. And then when they finally got the transcript, they would impeach him for every little sniffle and cough or any sigh that he makes. So, it's just, Petrie getting his head handed to him by Xi because he's got to call and placate the guy, and now Pelosi is going to become the newest face on Mount Rushmore because of her bravery. So they'll milk that for all it's worth, and they'll probably keep milking this Zawaheri thing, And that's that. I don't have that much more to say. I can't even end it on a sour note. So we'll leave it there. Enjoy what's left. I could say more about how China was becoming Americanized in the 80s. That's when they wrote this song, living in China, because they were becoming Americanized, and then they became so Americanized they made everything for us, which is what kept inflation down. The only reason inflation went down is in the 80s, 90s, because we started buying everything from China cheaper. So you see how everything's tied in together. Now we can't do that. We don't have that option anymore. So inflation will continue to skyrocket. Put a HYPER in front of that inflation word, and then you'll see what we got coming. So you see, I keep on rambling. I'll leave it go. Have a good afternoon and enjoy Western form of life while we have it. Bye now.